food challenge.
Is that today?
Yes! Stop messing around! We have to go!
Okay. Do I go left or right?
I don't know!
Hey guys, welcome back to Book Chat. I'm Reagan.
I'm Tiernan.
I'm Natasha.
I'm Sasha.
And today we're going to be talking about the most important thing, in my opinion, pretty much in the entire world, and that is food.
Food.
Today we're going to be talking about food within novels and how that kind of impacts the story and the different levels it provides, and maybe discuss a little further about how each novel kind of has its own creative food element. Because much like, you know, weapons or costumes or characters, for food to like really have its impact, it's got to be distinct within the story
it's
itself.
not something we talk or think about a lot.
Yeah, but it really adds a lot of interesting, you know, layers to the story itself. So to start, do we maybe want to like talk about some of our favorite food moments in the story?
Yes.
For me, I think my favorite novel that has food in it that I bet Tasha and I can both vouch for is Outlander. It has its own cookbook,
It does
and
have
I
its own
cooked from
cookbook.
that cookbook, and they make amazing beef stew. So I loved it.
I have not cooked from that cookbook yet.
We need to cook with it together.
I know we do.
That could be a great video.
So,
Yeah.
We can dress up.
I know,
Have
dress up
to,
in our
yeah.
costumes. Oh, we have to do that.
Oh, yours.
Another episode. of Book Chat.
Right?
My favorite like food moment, I think, is Renée Ahdieh's The Wrath of Dawn. So it's supposed to be set in Persia because Renee's husband is Persian, and they have a whole bunch of like ethnic Persian food, and it just really enhances the story. And everything like they eat with their hands, and just everything just sounds so delectable.
It's very rich in flavor.
Yeah.
Yes. The
It makes me
spices.
so. Every time I read that book, I'm like, I'm so hungry
I
now.
know.
Renee, what are you doing to me?
How dare thee?
The one that comes to my mind first is in Percy Jackson. Percy, his mom is always making him blue food, and I remember reading that for the first time. Yeah, like she makes blue pancakes, blue lemonade, everything like that. And I remember like in like the first or second book when he was at camp and he was missing his blue food. And then another thing they do with food in that series is sacrificing it to the gods
Yeah.
at camp.
Yeah.
And I remember that's an aspect of Greek mythology that's not touched on in a lot of things, like when I learned about it in middle school. So I thought that was really interesting to learn about.
Yeah. I would say mine has to be Harry Potter. I don't know about you guys, but like even from the movies to the books, I feel like there was always a big element of food, like the Great
Pumpkin
Hall,
pastry.
or like during all the holidays.
Yes.
Like my dream as a child would just be like be there on Halloween with like the floating candles and like this spread of all this food,
And like the
in
food just
front
like
of you.
appears.
Oh my god.
And like remember in the book where they actually like go to the kitchens and they like kind of discover all the descriptions of like the smells and the experiences. And I also just like food in novels because beyond just the sensory element of it, it's also a really big and important component for bringing characters together.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's a good like it's either a really good moment of rest. I mean, at least in fantasy novels, a lot of characters are traveling on the road, but then they go to an inn and they sit at a table and they have food, and usually they either meet new people or they meet some villains while they're there. Or in Harry Potter, it's like when they're all together, like not in their classes, they're like all together in one space, like enjoying food.
That shot of Ron with the chicken.
And I think that's really neat because food and culture is like imperative. You know, inviting people to your table, it's like a way that's always like broken down barriers since like the beginning of time. So I think it's really important that it's also included within narrative stories overall because it's just like such a huge part of so many cultures. It's just something that everyone can relate to, and it makes sense that it would be not only translated to fantasy worlds, but also be present in maybe more like realistic stories.
Yeah. And we all like cooking.
Who doesn't like cooking?
Yeah.
I love food so much.
Oh.
This sounds like a bunch of chit chat though.
Chit chat.
Chit chat.
Chit chat.
Hi, my name is Renée, Ahdieh, and I'm the #1 New York Times bestselling author of the Wrath of Dawn series, Flame in the Mist, and the soon-to-be-released Smoke in the Sun. Today, I'm here to talk to you about food in books, specifically fantasy food. If you've read any of my books, you know how much I love to write about food. I think my first encounter with food in books was Brian Jacques' Redwall series. I'm not sure if any of that food exists in real life, but it sounded so delicious. I'm determined to one day learn how to cook hot root soup. Like, I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm gonna try it one day. My Wrath of Dawn series is inspired by ancient Persia. Luckily enough for me, I happen to be married to a Persian guy. My mother-in-law taught me how to make stews steeped in herbs and all these beautiful, colorful spices. or how to make kebabs and a rice garnished with buttery saffron. I even set fire to my kitchen learning how to make Persian rice, but that's a story for a different time. In Flame in the Mist and its sequel Smoke in the Sun, which will be available next summer, the world is inspired by feudal Japan. I had a wonderful time learning about Japanese cuisine, which has always been a favorite of mine. It's a personal mission for me to learn how to cook all the foods in all of my books. It's particularly so I can get all of the sensory details right, because food and what you're seeing and what you're tasting, it's all a part of the experience. I'd love to know what your favorite food descriptions in books are. A huge thank you to Tashopolis and a shout out to her. Thank you all.
Hey guys! How are
Hi.
y'all doing? So I'm gonna have you guys put on these blindfolds.
Blindfolds. They're really cool pirate-looking ones.
Love them.
What's happening?
All right, can you see?
All right.
Can you see?
Oops,
Can
sorry.
you guys see anything
My eyes are
at
closed.
all? Alright, today I think we're gonna start out with these cute little cups.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Okay,
hand
just
me
hold out
one.
your hands and we will give you a gift of love.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what you're gonna do is you're gonna taste it. You're
Uh-huh.
gonna try to think what it is and where it's from.
Mm-hmm.
Do we like buzz, or do we just like all guess, or?
Scream buzz.
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 Yes.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Okay.
It's a little thick.
I have no idea what this is.
I
but
made
don't know
it.
if I like that.
It's
It's
like
like
really
blended
hard.
jello.
I don't
Can we
like
get a
cherries.
hint? Can we get a hint?
Okay, so this is something that was consumed in a casino.
Oh, from
Percy
Percy Jackson.
Is it ambrosia?
Yes.
For em-
Oh, is it? Oh.
It's
I
like-
hate
Yeah.
ambrosia.
What is it?
That's
So
smart
good
with the
job.
victory.
Yeah.
That's coconut.
Yeah.
That's
That
a
is
real
not
clever
oatmeal.
shenanigan.
Alright, you want to do the next one?
Moving on to the next one. It's gonna be another cup.
Another
Less
drink.
smoothie consistency.
Here we go.
Okay.
On 3,
This is heavy.
2, 1.
It's butterbeer from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Okay, from
I
home.
don't know how much sugar is in
Wait,
it.
no, I want it.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Alright, ready?
Yeah. Do you
So-
wanna go from over there?
Yeah, we're gonna go from over here.
Cool.
So for the next one, we're just gonna give you, it's a little bit messy, so we're just 3, 2, 1.
Narnia.
Buzz, buzz.
Yeah.
It's Turkish delight.
Ow.
From Lion the Witch of the
She
Wardrobe.
got it.
I want to taste it.
I ate Turkish delight. So I'm gonna get some of the food on the fork and
Okay.
we are gonna eat it. I got you. There you go.
Okay,
Alright,
I'm ready.
wait,
Can we
hold
go?
on. Alright, hold on.
Wait for
Ready?
1 second.
It smells
3,
like chocolate.
2, 1, go.
I know, I smelled it. But yeah, but where's it from?
Tiger chip.
Yes!
my
But wait,
God.
what fraction?
Dollars.
Really?
Yes.
Dollars pig.
Yeah.
Yeah, dollars.
The only thing I can think about
You
was
should
like what's
read
chocolate.
the
Dollars
food.
pig.
Yeah,
From
dollars.
the-
Alright, so we have 2 more. We have 2 more
Oh my
left.
god.
You were just whipping it up.
I know. I don't cook. Alright, so for this one, I'm just gonna hand it and put it in your hand. 3, 2, 1.
Chop.
Oh my. This just makes me feel very British.
I'm very orange.
What's
a king chocolate?
Is this
Oh my god, don't die!
is this some bread from the Hunger Games?
Yes!
Right?
Smash it.
Alright, so the last one.
Okay,
This is last one.
Okay.
Okay.
It is
What am I grabbing? Oh, is it
spoonful of
another
something.
spoon?
Good luck. Alright, ready? 3, 2, 1.
That's the wrong side of the spoon, Josh. Oh!
I have no idea what this is.
What is that? It's not the side.
I don't like it.
Hint me, I can't.
Hint.
It's marmalade, isn't it? Or
Yes,
something like that.
it's yes.
Marmalade!
But where's
Oh
it
my
from?
gosh, you'd be like,
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah!
Lord of the Rings?
Really? I haven't even
Yes,
read
yes,
it.
yes. Lord of the Rings.
I've not read that book.
I said it.
Where?
Is that
Oh my
the
goodness.
last food item?
Yeah, that's the last one. So good job, guys. You're still holding the
Yay.
video.
Thank you.